FreeCAD just got a new major update and is now at version 1.1. Let's take a look at what's new in this release. The first new feature, which is a real game changer, is the Generate Internal Faces option. You can now select a face inside a sketch that has multiple profiles and extrude it. With a single sketch, you can create several operations. This is much closer to how things work in Fusion. You can model simple parts like this bike seat clamp or more complex ones, like this enclosure, all from just one sketch. You don't need the sketch to be a perfectly closed profile. Here I just drew a circle cut by a spline and I can choose which half to extrude. I'm pretty sure this new feature is going to make a lot of people very happy. To activate it, go to the Edit menu, then Preferences. In the window that opens, look for the Sketcher tab and check the box Generate Internal Faces, and you are good to go. Now for some part design operations, we have interactive sliders that let you adjust values on the fly. Here you can use them for the extrusion height and angle, but this feature also works for creating fillets, chamfers and thickness. It's really useful when you're unsure between different values. It's quick and convenient. Now, when you create a new sketch in part design, selecting the sketch plane is easier and more intuitive. In version 1.1 on the right, the selected planes highlight and expand, making them simple to pick. Compare that to version 1.0 on the left, where the planes are harder to select and less appealing. The Sketcher has also received quite a few new tools and features that make life much easier. You can now select entities and move them by holding down the click, something that wasn't possible before. You can also select all entities by pressing Ctrl+A and move everybody. When you select a constraint, it now appears directly in the constraint table. No more scrolling for ages to find and edit it. You can now move a dimension by clicking anywhere on it. No need to click precisely on the numbers anymore. The creation of variables directly in Sketcher has been redesigned. It's now simpler and more intuitive to create a variable starting from a dimensional constraint. You just need to check the Store in Variable Set option and give it a name. Once it's created, you'll see the fixed label next to the dimension. It will then be stored and fully driven from the varset entry in the tree view. To save space and make the UI less overwhelming, you can combine the Polyline tool and the Line tool under a single command. To do this, go to the Preferences menu, then Sketcher, and check Group the Polyline and the Line commands. Now, when you apply a dimensional constraint to one of the sketch's lines, the other lines adjust proportionally. It might not seem like much, but I'll show you a real example where this feature is going to be really helpful. On the left, in FreeCAD 1.0, I want to set the top tube of my bike frame geometry to 470. Using the Dimension tool and entering 470, watch what happens. You expect one thing, but here's what you actually get. Just an error message and a completely messed up geometry. And now, see what happens in FreeCAD 1.1 when we do the same operation on the same sketch. The expectation matches the reality. When you use a tool, you now get instructions at the bottom of the screen explaining how to use it, along with the different shortcuts for special operations. These hints are shown for almost all tools, whether you're creating geometry or applying constraints. The External Geometry tool has been completely redesigned. You now have two options: External Projection and External Intersection. Let's start by looking at External Projection. It serves the same purpose as the External Geometry tool in version 1.0, but it's more powerful. You can use it to project any edge or sketch, and you can now also project an entire face, which wasn't possible in version 1.0. In the Sketcher preferences, you can choose whether projected geometry is created as construction geometry or as regular geometry. In both cases, you can convert it after it's been projected. You can also now use these projected lines directly to create offsets. This wasn't possible in version 1.0, where you had to redraw regular lines over the projected ones before offsetting them. Now it's much simpler and the time savings are significant. They've also added the intersection tool, which is for me the most important addition in this update, especially if you want to do proper surfacing. In this bike saddle example, to build the surface, we need support geometry between the two boundary shapes. For that, we need the intersection between the sketch plane and those curves, so the support geometry can snap to them. With the intersection tool, you now just select the two shapes and instantly get the intersection points. You can then use these points to draw your support curve. This is really the tool I was missing the most for doing surfacing. Before we continue, a quick message from our longtime partner, PCBWay. They're simply leaders in PCB manufacturing, 3D printing, and CNC machining. You just upload your file, select the options, which are very detailed and complete, and you get an instant quote. I've tested their service several times, and the results were always perfect. Right now, you can see this bike chainring they machined for me. The quality is flawless, the tolerances are spot on, and all of this for a very low price, even for small quantities. Don't hesitate to take advantage of their offer, especially since you get a $5 coupon on your first order. They truly are the perfect partner for your prototyping needs, or even for mass production. A huge thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. 2 new navigation styles have been added, SolidWorks and Siemens. On top of that, there are new orbit styles for moving around the view. Both settings can be useful if you're coming from other software and want to keep your usual habits. You now have much better control over the lighting of your part. This version introduces 3-point lighting, whereas version 1.0 only had a single light source. You can disable individual lights, change their orientation, and even adjust their color. This gives you full control over the look of your 3D environment. The Transform tool has been seriously beefed up since version 1.0. You can now choose where to place the gizmo when performing transformations. You can keep it aligned with the global coordinates, place it at the center of mass, or even better, position it manually exactly where you want it. You can choose a point, a face, or even the center of an edge. The second new option is that you can now move one object directly onto another. By combining these 2 new tools, you can position your objects very precisely and snap them together exactly where you need them. And it also works if you want to orient 2 objects in the same direction. There's no need to use the Move and Rotate tools from the Draft workbench anymore. You can throw them away like old tissues. You can now undock any FreeCAD window. This is especially useful if, like here, you have a spreadsheet that you can detach, change values, and see the updates in real time. You can also move it to a second screen. This works with TechDraw windows as well. Speaking of the spreadsheet, you can now automatically resize columns by double-clicking the divider, just like in any spreadsheet software. You can also zoom in and out now, something we can't do before that. In the assembly workbench, you can now create simulations. In this example, I'm going to rotate the pedal around its axis. You just click on the windmill tool, choose the constraint you want to animate, set the duration, and then click Generate. Here it's a very simple case with just one animation, but you can go even further and animate multiple constraints, like this thing. The whole tool has also been redesigned. On top of circles, you can now create a hole from a point or from an arc. In the Tools Task panel, you can choose which types of geometry are taken into account for the operation. The interface has been redesigned as well, making it much clearer. A small diagram gives you a preview of the operation. New thread profiles have been added, and you can even create tapered threads. Thread generation has also been significantly accelerated. The tool feels truly professional now. New modes have been added to the Pad 2-sided tool. You can now choose to extrude the second direction up to a face or a shape. Basically, you now have the same options for extruding in both directions as you previously had for just one. With the Transform Array tool, you can now perform the operation in a second direction. There's no need to use the Multi-Transform tool anymore. This lets you create a pattern in 2 directions. The operation labels have also been renamed to be more explicit. A more hidden option also lets you change the spacing between operations. To do this, you need to go into the properties, then spacing, and enter the offset value you want to adjust. It's a bit abstract for now, but Pedal Stroke from AutoCAD has already implemented a dynamic interface for this in his program. You can also find this setting in the Polar Array tool to adjust spacing and create more complex patterns. Speaking of the Array tool, the one in the Draft workbench has also been simplified. By default, it now offers just a linear pattern in one direction, but you can still switch back to the old interface if you prefer it. 2 new modes have been added to the Path Array tool. You can now define spacing or a count plus spacing, letting you create the array exactly how you want. Before, this tool was too limited, now it's really good. The Quick Measure tool now shows more information. In addition to displaying radius, distances, and areas, it now shows the diameter of closed circles and the distance between 2 circles from center to center. You can now create variables in sequence. In version 1.0, after creating a variable, you had to right-click again and choose Add Property. Now you can create them one after another, and a new window opens each time you click Add. This significantly speeds things up. You can now create coordinate systems, datum planes, lines, and points in any workbench. Before, this was only possible in part design. These objects can then be attached and used in assemblies to constrain your parts. It might not seem like much, but it's actually very important. The CAM workbench has also received new features. The tool creation menu has been redesigned and is much more intuitive to use. You can now copy and paste a tool in your library. The creation menu itself has also been revamped and now guides you step by step through the process. The simulation tool has also been optimized for a better preview of the machining. 2 new buttons have been added. One to reset the camera and another to slow down the simulation speed. And a ton of other new tools have been added as well, whether in the CAM, FEA, or BIM workbenches. There are so many updates that each workbench could easily have its own dedicated video. In this one, I wanted to focus on the most important features. If you want more details, I've included the link to the version 1.1 wiki, which covers all the new features. I really want to thank all the developers who helped make FreeCAD what it is today and truly acknowledge the huge effort they've put in. It's massive. FreeCAD's funding comes mostly from donations, so if you can, I encourage you to visit the FreeCAD website and check out the donation section. I also want to sincerely thank you for watching this video up to here. I hope I've given you a good overview of the new tools. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you soon for more tutorials and upcoming projects. Thanks again for your attention.